Pastor's giving me the squirrely look here. You know, it's called, in the business, that's called pulling an amen. You know? But, you know, I'm really a homeboy. I lived up here for a year and a half. I grew up in the Northwest, and these are my dear friends here at this Calvary Chapel. So I won't do that again. I mean, if I say amen and you want to say amen, if I say something you want to say amen, say it. If I don't say it, then don't say amen.
Amen.
Not fair. I spent over 30 years in the music business, and I spent 5 of those years as an executive at Apple Records. And one of the jobs I had at Capitol was called National Promotion Manager. Now what this meant was I had about 50 guys that worked for me spread out across the United States, and they were strategically placed in each of the major markets. And we would release a new record, and they would take the record around, promote it to radio stations. When our artists went on tour, they would take the artists around and promote their careers and their new records. And in those days, we wore suits and ties. Now, my guy in Chicago, we all have one of these at the workplace. He always does things one better, right? He not only wore suits and ties, but he wore fine hats. Hats weren't required, but he loved hats. He had the greatest hat collection in the world. I think he had a hat for even taking out the garbage. I mean, this guy loved his hats. He went out one day and bought a hat for $50. Now, you do the math. This is the late 60s. Can you imagine anything that cost $50 in the late 60s, what it would cost today? This was a fine hat. This was his favorite hat. This is a hat he wore like on special occasions, like when a really big name artist came to town. This is one of those days. He has that fine hat on. He has his artist in tow. He goes around the building. I did say he was my man in Chicago, didn't I? The Windy City. Hat blows off. It's rolling in the dust. He's screaming, trying to catch that hat. It goes out in the street. Car runs over. Hat's gone. I get his expense report the next week. You're way ahead of me. Hat, $50. But we didn't have a clothing allowance at Capitol, so I just crossed that off, checked the rest of his report. It was okay. I sent it in for payment minus the hat. I get his expense report the next week. There's that hat again. I cross it off again, check his report. It's fine. Sign off again, send it in for payment minus the hat again. I get his expense report the third. This is like old hat. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Wait a minute, the hat's not on there. He got the message. I checked his report. It's perfect. I'll sign. He put an asterisk at the bottom of the expense report. The hat's in there somewhere, boss. You find it. That's a true story, by